The following program is a production of Naleo TV.
Aloha. Welcome to the Art of Painting with Rockwood. I'm your host, Rockwood. Today we're going to go from this to this. So first we're going to take the board. It's already pre-prepped. You can see that I've already got my water going on here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer to my iPad over here, and I'm going to draw the Moorish idol on here. And I'm going to start by putting that little eye like that. Then it comes down like this, up to his snout. They actually look like a horse's mouth right there. Kind of cool like that. And then I'm going to do this where it's going to be kind of rounded like this, because that's the body. And then it goes up to a triangle like this. And then it comes down a triangle like this. And then we have the tail. So we're just going to have that go right off the... Because if you were diving and you took a picture of it, they don't always stay in focus or stay in the frame. So that's just going to go off like that. And then we have that little thing there. They have this little thing right there. Sorry, I'm an artist. I don't study the biology and the science of these animals and creatures and stuff, so I don't really know what all that stuff is called. And let's see, that eye is going to be right about there. And this is the black part that comes down like this. And it goes like that. And then there's a fin right there. And I think what I want to do is I want to put some coral coming down like that. So we'll sponge that in. So I've got my sponge right here. I'm going to dry it a little bit. Make sure it's good. There we go. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to take a little bit of purple, turn this like that, and I'm just going to sponge this purple right here so that it gives me kind of a purpose for the Moorish idol. He's going to be swimming over here looking for food. And let's take a little bit of blue-green. This just gives us a little bit of background. Okay, so today I'm going to take my filbert brush and we're going to start by laying in some white here. My last show, I painted a wave and I did the whole thing in a half an hour. So I'm going to see if I can't do this in a half an hour too. I'm not saying that I won't paint bigger stuff so you can see that and figure that out, but those take more than a half an hour to do, so we'll have to break those shows up. Because this canvas is so dark, I'm going to have to put a couple of layers of white down here, just because you can see how transparent that is. And I got to be careful not to stick my hands in the coral that I just painted here. So I do work fast, and sometimes I don't pay attention. But I can fix it. Now this filbert brush, when you turn it on its side, it almost comes to a point right there. So that means that I'm easy to drag that out and make that point right there for that. Again, don't know what that thing's called. If it was a kite, it would be a tail. It kind of looks like a tail on a kite. Draw this out. Now this is really wide right here because of the brush, but the Moorish idol, they don't really have a large white area there. But when I put the black down, I can thin that up and make it look more natural. Again, I said this in the first and second show, it's okay to twist this around. You don't have to be pretentious and think that you're an amazing artist and you have to do everything on an easel and you can't twist it around to make it easier for you. Whatever is easy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet this a little bit more here, because what I want to do, nothing is flat in the ocean, so I want to put a shadow. I think I should put that tail in. No, that's fine. I can just get this. There's not a lot of white in the tail, but now I'm going to take this light blue and create this shadow. See how I'm just putting it in there, slapping it in. Just wiping my brush. I don't need to wash it. I'm just going to blend that in. So that way, it looks like the underside of the fish. I will tell you, when I snorkel and stuff like that, Moorish idols are my favorite. I love Moorish idols. A friend of mine told me one time, taught me a lesson about Moorish idols, but I'm not doing it on this painting. And I did not realize this until I went snorkeling the next time. But every time you see a Moorish idol, you will see it with a partner. I did not know that. But this guy's, he's a loner. Not big enough to put two. All right, so that looks really good. Next, the fun part is we're actually going to take some transparent yellow, and we are going to put that like right up in here and draw that down right onto the tail. And then just a little bit more this part right here. See how I'm barely touching right there? I'm trying to draw that out to the white because it does fade. It's not solid. Oh, that looks good. Now we're going to grab some black. Now, in my last show, I talked to you about the wedge. So we're going to do that same thing again. We're going to use that wedge to fit right down into that corner, if you will. Hope you guys are watching all of these shows because you can really learn a lot from it. But what I really hope is that you guys are actually getting art supplies and painting along with me. That would be really cool. Now this is a relatively expensive brush, so you can see how nice and fine those lines are, that they get nice and sharp. And we're going to draw that right down to the corner there, and then we're going to kind of slightly round it over. Now I'm going to go in here with the wedge, and I'm going to create that shape right there, so that's the bottom of the fish. Now, remember how I said that was too wide? So in order to create that thin line, I'm just going to paint right over that white and yellow. See how cool that came out? And then we're going to grab the outliner brush and grab some white and black. I'm sorry. I'm looking right at it and I don't even know what color it is. Now this is down. Now notice how I'm dragging this into it. That helps me get a nice smooth line right there. Now I can just drag it down and then pull up. Gives me a nice sharp point right there. Now the tail. Is black all the way out to the tip, so take that filbert brush again and we'll just fill that in like that. Then there is actually a very fine white line right here. And this is actually white right here. And, okay, that looks good there. So let's take this. I'm just going to take a touch of white. Go up here. Now I'm just eyeballing this, but you might want to wait for it to dry and sketch it in so that it looks like a little fin there. Because it's still wet, it's not going to look like a white fin. Now I am going to rinse it out because it's got black on it. And I'm going to grab a little bit more white, a little bit of blue in it. Here. Draw that back into it. That way it looks like a fin. Now, let's work on this part here. This is the hard part. This is a big upside down diamond shape right here. As long as you're not in a hurry, if you put that brush where you want it, keep your eye on it, you can actually get that nice fine line. You see how nice and fine that is right there? This is technically like an eyebrow. That looks cool. Then let's put that mouth on there right quick. So it's got like a little tiny overbite right here. Then it's got this called an upside down teardrop right on top of his snout there. And then we're going to start right here, and we're going to draw this right down the center here. Just a little bit of black under here just to make that look really cool. They do have a black area under their chin, if you will. Okay, that's that. Now we're going to put some orange inside that little I don't know what that's called either, but now see how I turned it around like that so I can get right into that corner of where it's rounded right there. Okay, that is coming together. Now, when you look at a Moorish idol, their eye is all black, so it's tone on tone. But because we're doing a painting, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of white and we're going to mix it with a little bit of blue. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put there's a circle right there. I don't know how well you're going to see that. Let me put some white in there. Now the reason I put the blue down there first is so I have something to draw that white to. So I want that white to be really super fine. Draw it around like that. Now you can see that that's an eye. That looks like a really cool eye. It wouldn't look like that in the ocean, but it does that on a painting because we want it to show. Now, this is something else you wouldn't see in the ocean, but I'm going to put a little dot right there. See how that, now it looks like he's looking right at you. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add some white to the snout, just so I get a real nice shape right there. And I want to thin that mouth a bit. So we're going to come up under here. And that's how you do a very fine line without having to actually paint a fine line. So many people struggle with trying to get it a nice fine line when all you have to do is back paint and you can make it fine. Notice I'm still using the outline brush. It just helps me get in there and fill that in there real nice and tight. Now, just for the heck of it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my round liner brush, this one here, and I'm just going to put some streaks. Now, see how thick and wide that is? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the black and we're going to go right in between that and thin them up a bit. And if you're wondering where I buy my stuff, I buy it at art stores, I buy it at hardware stores. I mean, anybody that carries art supplies. If you don't have a lot of money for paint, a real inexpensive alternative would be to go to a hardware store and have them mix you up samples of the colors that you want. I think you can get like 8 ounces of paint for like cheap. And it's house paint, as long as it's acrylic paint, will do everything that I'm doing right now. It doesn't have to be any kind of special paint. Acrylic paint is acrylic paint. What's weird is this is a little bit thicker than your house paint, but we do thin it down, so if you've got paint that was easier to use without using a medium to thin it down a little bit, then you'd be all right. All right, so that there is my finished Moorish idol with a little bit of background. I do notice there's a couple of little boo-boos there, but just take my paper towel here, but that's not a boo-boo, that's part of the paint. So I don't like it, so I am going to mix up just a touch of the color and add it in here like this to make that go there. We are almost done. And there you have it, a beautiful Hawaiian Moorish idol. So, since I've got a little bit of time, let me, because see how the pencil mark is still right there? I'm going to get rid of that just by adding a little bit of blender so I can blend this out. Tighten that up right there. Yep, that looks good. Now comes the fun part. And I know I've mentioned this before. Every painting needs to be signed by the artist. I don't care who you are. You don't have to be famous, but put your name on it. Don't put your initial on there, because nobody's going to know who you are by your initial. So I'm going to put my name. Every time I do that, if you look at the tip of the brush, if you see a bubble or a ball of paint on there, you don't want to start painting with that. That could ruin everything. Not that it's a big deal. You could just take a little bit of water, wash this off, and start over. Okay? Now we're going to put the year, put a little dash here. And there you have it. Isn't that pretty? I love that. So, to recap, we're using this is a canvas panel on cardboard, acrylic paint, water base. So, we're good. All right. Hope you enjoyed watching this. Stay tuned for my next show, and ahui ho.
The preceding program was a production of Naleo TV.